young body continues to function at maximum efficiency without any problems, even with only a few hours of sleep. But only if you have something to do the entire day. If you just plan to wait until evening and only sleep then, sleep deprivation is going to catch up to you very quickly. I decided not to wait for that, and having returned home at about noon, immediately flopped onto the bed. I was woken up by another doorbell. Who was there this time? Well, this time the bell seemingly sounded more polite. After putting on my trousers and shirt, inside out at first, I dashed to the door. Strangely enough, whoever it was only rang once. Maybe it had just been my imagination. All of a sudden the guitar riff kicks in. I'm like, oh god, who's about to walk at the door? I mean, obviously the obvious suspicions are either like Catherine or Ellie. Like one of the two. Or maybe it's just something completely out of left field even I'm not expecting. However, opening the door, I was faced with someone I absolutely hadn't expected to see. Ellie, yep. Ellie. Hi.
Were you sleeping? Sorry for waking you up.
No, I mean, I was, but no worries. She was noticeably anxious. And something was different about Ellie. Maybe it was the guitar hanging off her back. Has something happened?
No, everything's fine. At least as fine as it can be.
Do you want to come in?
I wouldn't say no.
So, yes? Want some tea?
No, thank you.
Ellie was carefully examining my kitchen. Don't worry, nobody's watching us here. I joked awkwardly. On the other hand, who could really know?
It's just that last time I didn't have much time to look around.
Look around? Why, you're gonna buy my poor old home?
Where would I get the money?
I smiled idiotically and lowered my eyes.
Grandpa's money is his money. I don't have much more in my pocket than any other schoolgirl.
You just don't know the condition the house is in. That'll be more than enough.
Now think about it.
Ellie was fidgeting in place. Anyway, to what do I owe the honor?
You haven't been to school today, so
She was very embarrassed, as if trying to offer an excuse for doing something questionable, unbecoming of a real lady.
So I decided to drop by because yesterday was awkward. I also feel guilty about what happened. After all, they're my friends.
Alright.
Is that all you can say?
In reality, I was quite surprised by her visit and the apology, and didn't really know how to behave in this sort of situation. What am I supposed to say? To be honest, I'm not very good at this whole manners thing, so I'd be happy for a couple lessons. Ellie thought about it, then seemed to remember something.
I got a couple lessons for you. You mentioned you play bass, right?
I used to play at one point. A little bit closer to the truth. Never been great, though.
That's fine.
For a while, we just kept silent.
Well,
What?
are you going to show me your bass?
Yeah, sure. I walked to the door to my room in frozen hesitation. Catherine and Himitsu were the only ones who'd been there before. No, that was stupid. As if I was hiding something in there. Sorry for the mess. Ellie entered after me, and I looked around.
I expected worse. There it is.
She noticed the bass staying next to the bed, and immediately walked to it, carefully examined it, and then took it in her hands.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, you know, I wanted to learn how to play a proper guitar, not some piece of wood.
Uh-huh.
She put her foot on the amplifier, adjusted the bass in her hands, played a fairly simple melody.
It's out of tune. Wait a bit.
She only needed a half a minute to make the bass sound right again. Damn, I can't do that.
It's not difficult. You just need to remember how one string should sound, the tune, and then tune the rest to it.
You know, when someone says it's not difficult, that's the first tell it's going to be difficult. She smiled and handed the bass over to me.
Can't achieve anything without practice. I think I could play a guitar from the day I was born.
Of course not. People are different in terms of talent. Some are just naturals.
Well, let's see about that.
What? Ellie ran out in a couple seconds, returned with the guitar. Ah, right.
Give it to me.
Whoa. She unceremoniously grabbed the bass out of my hand, sat on the bed, and started playing.
Memorized it?
Of course not, I replied with indignation.
Then I'll go another time. Slower.
The second time really did make the melody more understandable. And what is that?
One of my new songs.
Ellie took her guitar out of its case.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
She started playing, and I just sat and looked at her. Well? What?
Fine, when I snap my fingers like this, start playing what I showed you.
You know, there's a Russian fairy tale about a donkey, a goat, a monkey, and a bear.
I don't know.
Ellie interrupted me impatiently. So in the end, it goes something like this. And you, my friends, no matter your positions, will never be musicians.
You're giving up without even trying.
I'm just realistically evaluating my skill based on prior experience.
Those who do nothing make no mistakes.
That's not the same thing.
Why? I think it suits you well. You're so afraid that somebody will think something wrong about you that you prefer not to try at all.
I don't care about... But I felt the sting of pain as her words hit on something deep inside. If you wanted that much, fine.
Great.
The song actually turned out to be relatively simple, but when you haven't held a bass in your hands in many years, everything is difficult. I had to start over and over again, because I would either forget my part or play it totally off rhythm. Ellie carefully and patiently showed me how to play correctly, over and over again. I had never have thought she could remain so effortlessly calm. While I wanted to smash my head against the bass, Ellie kept repeating the same thing again and again. And I finally got it. One time we played it correctly. Woohoo! I shouted after picking the string for the last time.
See? And you were afraid.
But it wasn't easy.
Well, how do you feel now?
How do I feel? I repeated, and with a great deal of surprise, noticed that my mood was indeed much better, and I felt an unusual influx of energy and positivity. Oh yeah. Bro, I feel that. When you've been practicing at something for a good while and you finally pull it off, oh, that rush, oh, it feels good. It feels great. Fine, you won.
What did I tell you?
By the way, I wanted to ask you.
Yeah?
I thought you were going to sing today.
No, not today.
She suddenly grew embarrassed and quickly put the guitar back in its case.
The lyrics aren't finished yet.
Ah, I see. I drawled. An awkward silence hung in the room.
You know, actually, I came to tell you that I'm ready to help you. Well, not both of you. Just you. I don't have anything to do with that girl.
Alright, got it. I don't need to talk to her at all.
But I can't promise anything. Grandpa said I shouldn't get involved in all this. And he's probably right, but...
But what?
Nothing.
Suddenly got angry.
I told you I'll help, so I will. Gotta go now.
Okay, Jesus, quite the mood shift. I saw Ellie to the door, closed it behind her, kept standing in the hallway, staring right in front of me. Help, huh? So let's be happy, but there was something about this entire situation that made me anxious. The rest of the day was unsurprisingly peaceful, for the first time in a while. I kept catching myself throwing occasional glances at Himitz's house. Guess I wanted to complete the overall idyllic piece with a tasty dinner, a familiar face, and a normal conversation about nothing. Habits that take years to form don't die in a day, no matter how inappropriate they might seem under new circumstances. I was walking around the house like a tiger in a cage, unable to find anything to do. Books couldn't hold my attention longer than a minute. All the TV shows seemed boring, and cleaning or washing clothes, pointless. Just waiting for something is hard enough, but it's even harder when you don't know what you're waiting for. In Japan, prisoners sentenced to death only learn they're about to die the morning of their execution. Until then, they can spend years and even decades in ignorance. But Himitsu never came by, and by night I was completely exhausted by all the pointless flailing about. My bed took me in its embrace, covered me with a warm blanket, its soft pillow whispering a kind lullaby, and sleep came at once. The awakening was just as quick. I jerked up because of loud sounds coming from the yard. The sound of broken glass banging against the wall, and the stomping of someone running away. It took some time for me to come to my senses after such a short sleep and realize I hadn't just imagined all that. I sat up and tried to listen in. The night silence of our quiet district was all that rang out in my room. Had it been just my imagination after all? With effort, I got up and sneaked into the kitchen. Everything was as I had left it there. No one else was inside. I spent a long time hesitating before the front door, finally threw it open and jumped outside. There was no one there either. I noticed that the glass of the window next to the door was broken. There was an insulting Japanese character sloppily painted on the door. Obviously, neither the KGB nor the corporation would do something this dumb, so it must have been Ellie's friends. First glance was so stupid that I didn't even know how to react. Some cut my nose to spite my face sort of shit. Before the paint would dry completely, you missed a word there, I started cleaning away the obscene message, which took me a good hour. Unfortunately, I didn't have a spare for the broken window, so I had to bore the resulting hole somehow. Till better times. If they would ever come. That act of vandalism amused me more than frightened me. Just imagine myself being in the shoes of anyone in their posse. All their problems are about fighting for a spot in the local social hierarchy. Their purpose in life was to maximize their pleasure. Not just getting nice experiences, but turning simple gratification into a cult. Sex, alcohol, maybe even drugs. Quarreling with their kind and bullying the weak. Their primitive existence, not too different from that of a pack of hyenas, might have seemed attractive to me some time ago. But now I was facing more important problems. Problems that probably aren't meant to be solved by your average school student. It was already 2 o'clock. I was sitting in the kitchen and looking into the darkness of my home, as if expecting a monster to jump at me out of a far corner. Almost the whole day had been spent in expectation of disaster. I managed to get any proper sleep, and now I couldn't fall asleep again. Was I really the hero of my own novel? Suddenly I felt unbearably sad and lonely. That feeling when you realize you can't handle the difficulties that came crashing down upon you. I never envied anyone in my life. Or at least, I never wanted to live someone else's life. Probably because deep inside I knew that in addition to everything I thought I wanted from them, I'd get all sorts of problems I couldn't see from outside. Now it felt excruciatingly painful that some people were just living their lives, going to school, then spending time with friends. Their life could seem boring and monotonous, but at the same time, they didn't have to sit like this in the middle of the night and wait for their enemies to come for them. They didn't jump at every ring of the doorbell. They weren't looking for KGB agents in every face. And even if they didn't have a person they loved, they were also free of all that endless nerve-wracking tied to it. It's better to be alone than with someone random, isn't it? I thought that under different circumstances I'd be with Himitsu by now. And that didn't seem like a bad deal to me. It also felt like it was written on a page torn out of a different book. Even if its format didn't match the story of my life, there's no way I could glue it in somehow. Can your fate really be changed so radically, all at once? And what's fate, anyway? I think it's a visual novel series. Also, and there's an anime series. Also, there's a gacha game. Does it even exist? Oh, fate definitely exists. It's definitely a thing. The chain of random events, the decisions of people I knew very poorly or didn't know at all, seemed to matter more in the end than my own actions. If Catherine hadn't come back, if I hadn't met Kagome and Ellie, if the not-so-sane KGB major hadn't come up with the idea to try and pry out government secrets out of an innocent school kid, if... In the end, how is fate, the story of your life written before your birth, fundamentally different from a sequence of random events? Especially if you have no way to influence it either way. Once my exhaustion reached an unbearable level and I started blacking out, I finally managed to fall asleep. But in any case, the very thought that I wasn't in control of my own life disgusted me. Okay. I woke up early in the morning, still tired and sleepy, but quickly realized I wouldn't be able to fall asleep again. It was getting worse and worse by the day. But while I couldn't do a single thing to Kobayashi Corporation, I could at least handle a gang of rowdy teenagers. At least, I could try. Long before class started, I was standing at the school gate, waiting for Asakura and Kawashima. Why them? I was absolutely sure that the others lacked the brains to come up with anything like that themselves, and there was no point dealing with pawns. The car brought Asakura to school pretty early. There was a good hour left before classes started. I had to hide behind the fence in order to avoid the driver's attention. When the car drove away, I approached Asakura. We need to talk about yesterday. You can't just jump out at people like that. She immediately responded with indignation. Yes, about that too. I don't know what you're talking about. The girl scoffed and turned away, not even pretending to be surprised. I'm talking about you breaking my window yesterday and smearing my door with paint. Spent half the night cleaning it. What made you think it's us? Asakura asked defiantly. There are cameras in the yard. Cameras? That scared her. Yes, cameras. Anyway, I know nothing about this. I have to go. I grabbed her by the arm. Oh no, you're not going anywhere. I'm gonna stand here together and wait for the others. Maybe my threat worked, or maybe she fell for the bluff about the cameras. Either way, Asakura stopped resisting. 10 minutes later, Kawashima appeared. Good morning, we've been waiting for you. I greeted her in an artificially friendly voice. What's going on here?
He's crazy. He's accusing us of some nonsense. I have no idea who wrote what on his door.
I never said there was something written on it.
Oh.
She got even more flustered. Anyway, that's exactly the case. I continued. Your stunt yesterday was caught on camera.
Camera?
Kawashima smirked maliciously. Seemed like she wasn't as gullible as her friend.
And where can we see the tape?
We'll watch together at the police station.
Wonderful. We'll be looking forward to a subpoena. Mika, let's go. There's no point listening to this imbecile.
She said to Asakura, and I realized that holding two girls in place would be at least twice as difficult. I was saved by Ellie, who happened to come to school just on time.
Miku?
Mari? I turned around, and before they had a chance to run away, blurted out, Everyone's finally here. We've just been waiting for you. I thought you'd been interested to know what your friends do on weeknights. Ellie threw a questioning look, first at me, then at the girls. They painted my door yesterday and broke a window.
Is that true?
Of course not. Don't listen to him. I have evidence.
Yeah, camera recordings. We heard that already.
She smirked. To be honest, I had kind of lost confidence in that trick.
What camera?
Still, Ellie was surprised. The cameras that record everything happening in my yard.
I've already told you. We'll be waiting for a call from the police. Until then...
Okay, so what were you doing yesterday night?
Why the hell would I tell you?
She flared up. A guilty mind is never at ease.
Marie. What, Ellie? Am I supposed to just stand and listen when I'm accused of some bullshit?
If it would have been the first time.
You can say all you want, but you can't prove anything.
I don't need to. I looked at Ellie defiantly, letting everyone know that the only opinion that mattered here was hers. She responded by shamefully lowering her eyes. The battle seemed lost, until a player I never would have expected entered the game. Kagome. The way we were standing made it difficult for the others to walk past us, but she still tried to slip by. Aha, there you are. Kagome stopped and gave me a wary look. Are you going to keep claiming you're innocent? That you're not bullying Uemura?
Can you make up your mind?
First we're window breakers, now bullies. They're all links in a chain. Come on, show them. I turned to Kagome, but as I got closer, I could see her black eye was no longer visible.
Son, I don't want to get involved in this,
she said quietly. So quietly that I barely heard her.
What you're mumbling there? Speak up.
Asakura, having stood quietly before, entered the conversation. See, Ellie, this is what I've been talking about.
Why, am I supposed to just stand and listen while this beggar mumbles under her breath? What if it's about me?
Do you think you're untouchable or something?
Well, we certainly have more rights than... You're not going to compare us to... Miku, please keep quiet. But Marie-chan... You can keep playing the hero. Just remember that's going to end badly for you.
Is that a threat?
It's a warning.
Let's see. Listen to this. I addressed Ellie. Yeah, eventually Ellie's going to be like, enough, dude.
To be honest, guys, I don't understand what's going on.
I'll start to understand. They committed a terror attack on my house.
A terror attack?
Kawashima giggled. But never mind. As I was saying, they're constantly bullying Uemura. Kagome kept standing motionlessly like a statue, carefully examining the cracks in the pavement at her feet. Why aren't you saying anything? I asked angrily.
I've got nothing to say.
Oh, you've got nothing to say. So I'm the one who's supposed to protect you. Somehow you're not so shy with me. Ooh, that was not the... My guy, I know you're heated, but that was not the way to go with it, my dude. That was... How many times has she said, I don't need anyone to protect me? He's like, so I'm supposed to protect you.
You see, Ellie, she's got no problem with us.
Right? Asakura came close to Kagome.
You've got no problems with us, right?
She asked in a challenging tone. And immediately got a juicy slap on the face. Fuck yeah! Get her ass, Kagome! It all happened as if in slow motion. Kawashima and Ellie froze. I didn't know how to react either. If they had been guys, I would have been so surprised. But Kagome, ready to defend herself like that. Kagome, who stubbornly kept quiet all that time.
Ow!
Asakura said after a sizable pause.
See, Ellie, they're both crazy.
Kawashima jumped to her friend, hugged her by the shoulder, and took her as far as possible from us. Kagome lowered her head again, looked exactly as she had a minute ago.
I don't know what really happened, but after that, you could solve your problems yourself.
Ellie said and ran after her friends. The hell was that?
You wanted me to stand up for myself, and I did.
She replied roughly and headed for the school. Yeah, I mean, you did kind of push her to that point. At first I wanted to run after her, grab her by the arm, stop and shout at her. But then I realized it was pointless. In the end, I was the one who created this volatile mixture, provoked this conflict. It was strange, that it only ended with a slap and not murder. I followed Kagome with my eyes, waited for her to go inside and change her shoes, and only then walked to the school building. However, Ellie was waiting for me there, hiding behind a locker. I stopped and she just shook her head, admonishingly. Is Asakura alright? She'll live, for now. I didn't mean that it was that serious. First a slap, then what? Don't exaggerate. Besides, Kagome had her reasons. To be honest, I didn't completely believe that myself. Sure, I could cut her some slack for being bullied up to that point, but doing something like that in public would only make things worse. An outside observer, even knowing the truth, would probably think, sure, those girls were in the wrong, but just look at her. Often the handsome criminal earns more sympathy than his ugly victim. Fine, I'm not justifying her actions. It's obviously no way to behave. But her stunt is no reason to ignore what's happening. I see you're ready to forgive her. That does make one think, you know. Here we go again. I rolled my eyes and sighed. I for one have no intention to talk to that lunatic anymore. You do understand that they'll keep picking on Uemura even if we don't do anything, right? Also, what about the paint on my door? Well, if you have the recording from the camera. Ellie said somehow, unsurely. I wasn't sure what was strongest in her words, the reproach, the surprise, or the irony. I don't have any cameras, why would I? Do you have to believe me? Why would I lie? Do I look like I framed someone just to prove I'm right? She gave it a moment's thought. I guess not. But think about it. What can I do? Even if you're right, I'm not saying I believe you, but let's just assume. Even if you're right, what do you want from me? Am I just supposed to turn them into the police? I don't know. Could at least talk to them? I see you're a big fan of talking yourself. Can't say the same about your Uemura, though. She prefers jumping straight into action. Jesus, why are you so fixated on her? But it was clear that to everyone else, Kagome was something like the old woman from Crime and Punishment. I haven't read that one. Although it was unlikely that Kawashima and her gang had asked themselves the same questions that Raskolnikov did. But even from a random observer's viewpoint, Uemura evoked very little sympathy. No, I got nothing but sympathy. Especially that observer was Ellie. Ren had a very high opinion of Kagome even prior to that. Because you're constantly protecting her. So what? So... nothing. She grew embarrassed at first, then angry. Don't you understand? Whatever I really thought about Kagome, Ellie expected an answer immediately. Oh, I can't backlog, damn it. This reminds me of a similar decision. In Katawa Shoujo, when you go down Hanako's route, there's a point when Lily confronts you and says that you're babying her too much. You're treating her less like a person and more like, a child you have to stick up for. You're not really looking at her as an equal. I don't know if they're going for the same vibe here, but that's honestly it's a very similar point. She's constantly pointing out you're always defending her. You're always coming to her aid. Instead of I don't know what the alternative would be in Kagome's situation, but I don't know if continuing to defend her is honestly the right move. That's what it would look like from the outside, right? Is to be like, no, you're wrong. Kagome's great. But there is, a truth in the fact that he's that he has become overprotective of her. It just really reminds me of that decision in Katawa Shoujo where siding with Lily was the right choice. That to get the good ending in Hanako's route, you have to agree with Lily that yes, you are being overprotective of her. You're not truly treating her like an equal. And that's what's really making me rack my brains here. She does have a point. Did I actually save already? I don't remember. I think I did, but... okay, I did. Well, I'm gonna do it again. honestly, I think there was a similar decision like this in Everlasting Summer. I don't remember exactly what it was. But like I remember when I played through it, I just kept clicking all the options that seemed like they favor the person. But in reality, there was one point where you had to pick an option that didn't like favor the person essentially, because it was actually the right choice to make at the time. I don't remember. I think that was maybe Lena's route. Not entirely sure on that one, but maybe Alyssa's. Either Lena or Alyssa. I'm pretty sure it was one of those two. But not that that matters. I'm going to agree with Ellie. I feel like that's the move. I feel like they would throw a curveball in there like that. That agreeing with Ellie, while it may seem like you're not, favoring Kagome, by choosing that one, you are doing the right thing by Kagome. And maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe I am. But I've seen too many instances in these visual novels where that just blindly picking this person, this person, this person, this person, always picking what seems to be the obvious option to favor them isn't always the right choice. That's happened one too many times. I'm gonna agree with Ellie. What does my opinion matter? Even if I agree with you, that's not the way to treat someone. You should do nothing to deserve it. Imagine yourself in Iwamoto's shoes. You can imagine being in anyone's shoes. Even a starving African child's. It's all easier than living in your own. Somehow her words got to me. Easy for you to say. Yes, and precisely because it's easy for me to say. I'll never act like that and won't tolerate it in other people. I'll talk to Miku. Maybe we should tell the teachers everything. You absolutely shouldn't do that. And why is that? Because you girls have to do something insane for the teacher to pay attention to it and take Kagome's side. I was afraid to say that out loud. Yumoto's got enough problems already. And why should we solve her problems? Nick, you seem like a reasonable person. Why do you hang around this hysterical girl? I can only think of one explanation. Her mouth formed into a wicked smile. I couldn't tell Ellie I suspected her grandfather's company to be behind the death of my parents, or that these days I was getting regular visits from the KGB. Kagome and I were allies by necessity. You don't have to like your allies. You just have to be helpful. I missed the moment when things became so serious. A week or so ago, I had arbitrarily decided to follow my unsociable class representative, and this is where it brought me. You can think whatever you want. I pretended to be offended. It's a terrible pity you're not seeing what a viper you have at your chest. Sure, I didn't know Kagome that well, but Ellie didn't know her at all. Fine, I need to go to class. I hope you'll draw the right conclusions. Same to you. I responded briefly and waited for her to go up the stairs.